Welcome to episode 75 of In the Shadow of the Evening Trees. I'm Jen Von Ebers.
I'm Dave Von Ebers. I'm not 75.
We're both wearing white shirts.
I feel very old. Yeah, it's in honor of our 75th episode. We're wearing white
matching outfits.
Shirts, matching outfits. But I have a collar on mine.
That's true. But we both have jeans on, so.
Which is unheard of. A collar on, well, jeans aren't unheard of, but a collared shirt on a weekend.
Yeah.
What on earth is happening? I'm just clicking various things with a mouse. Pay no attention. Pay no attention.
So welcome back to episode 75. That's a big number.
It is a big number.
And last week we had talked about we needed to have some decor on our back wall. And so I ended up putting my vision board on there for 2025.
If you are listening to the audio, you'll have to check out the video either on our Instagram or our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Put the links in. But you have to see the vision board in all its glory.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll just, since it's kind of hard to see from there, I'll just give you a slight thing of what I have on there. So I have a camera for photography. Want to learn more about that this year. A suitcase for travel, which we're doing. First trip is next week.
That's true.
I have a picture of New York because I would like to go back to New York City this year sometime.
I miss New York.
And this inspirational quotes. Stay close to people who make you feel like sunshine.
Do I make you feel like sunshine?
You do.
Oh, wow. That's a heavy burden, man. I don't know if I can live up to that.
Trust the timing of your life. Weekend cooking, healthy eating, positive energy to your health, etc. And be kind.
I have to. What do they say in the debate world? Point of order, or the parliamentary. We don't do a lot of cooking on the weekend.
We don't,
because we typically order pizza on Friday night, as God intended.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, if you live in Cook County, Illinois, we don't anymore, but we did. You're obligated. There's actually a law that says you must order pizza on a Friday night.
That is true.
Not many people know that.
We didn't make it up.
But then we frequently order out on Saturday and less frequently go out to dinner on Saturday. So you typically cook on Sunday, though.
I do. I do some meal prep on Sunday.
True.
We do cook a meal, a proper dinner on Sunday, a supper. Just kidding.
A supper.
At 3 o'clock. So yeah, it was just
People are going to believe you that we do it at 3 o'clock.
That's true. We're not eating at 3 o'clock.
We don't. We eat the same time on a Sunday that we do most
that is true.
days of the week.
That is true. So it's colorful for our background. So I managed it a little bit more bigger than it appears right now, but that's okay.
And sometimes I appear to be a cynical person, but I have nothing against this sort of thing. I think it's actually healthy. As long as it's what you want to do.
Yes.
You shouldn't be forced into it. Then it becomes like a cult.
Yes.
If you're doing it because it's what
of your own volition.
Of your own volition.
Yes.
It should resolve of its own volition. I set a chord, same thing.
But my
you have to understand that every other minute we're making jokes about Seinfeld.
Yes. So just catch up on that.
Yeah.
But my niece Hannah had a vision board party at her house in January, which I attended, and that's where all the crafting occurred.
It is where the crafting occurred.
Yeah.
I did not attend. In fact, I don't think I was invited.
There was no men invited.
Oh, well, that's okay. Was her husband there?
Yes, but he stayed in a bedroom the whole time.
Well, I probably would have done the same.
Yeah.
But he's very nice.
He is.
She's very nice.
Yes.
It's okay for you gals. I sound like Kramer now.
Yeah.
You gals
have fun.
You gals to get together.
Right.
Did you watch some Lifetime?
We did.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we watched some Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
So that's that, and it adds some color to the wall. So we might switch it up from time to time.
We
need
might.
to find some decor.
We might.
We actually had a strong workout today.
We did.
We went on a hike. I'm calling it a hike. We have a walking club that we join. A lot of you know about that, but today's was some elevation. It was up and down, and it was frozen ground. So it was kind of like
there was some mud.
Yeah, some mud. But it was a challenge, actually.
It was a challenge. I enjoyed it, but it was a challenge, and we actually, not that it's a huge distance, but we went a little farther than we would normally do.
Yes.
If we were walking on our own on a Saturday, we usually do like 3 miles. A lot of times
Or
with
3.75 by my phone,
Right.
by my watch.
Right. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
There is a weird discrepancy between the app on my phone and Jennifer's Apple Watch.
My legs are like this.
Yeah, yeah.
This is David.
But it shouldn't be, we've talked about it, it shouldn't be a pedometer though.
I
It
know.
should measure actual distance by
Yes.
GPS. But anyway, but with the walking group, the length of the walk varies, and sometimes a little shorter than that, sometimes a little longer. This time, according to my app on my phone, it was like 3.65 miles or something like that.
And sometimes people repeat it after we get done. They do it again.
And there were some people who were going to do it.
Yeah, we were fine. It was actually, we had mild weather this week. It was in 60 one day, so that was like very nice. Of course, today it was 20 degrees, and with wind chill it was 0. So I was like, I guess I had to break out my snow pants.
I think you might be exaggerating in the wind chill.
That's what my phone said this morning.
But it was 20. The air
20
temperature
degrees.
was only 20 degrees.
However, I believe if you're bundled up enough and wear the right stuff, you're going to be fine. And it's just like anything. Like we ran with team in training. It's like maybe walking is different from running, but don't they say like wear clothing that you're going to wear 20 degrees warmer, I guess if you call it, so that you're not going to be overheated. I was warm enough, too warm actually, with all the stuff that I had on, because I had my snow pants, I had a scarf, I had my gloves, I even took my gloves off at a point, and even like undid my scarf because it was too much.
Although I will say, with running, you warm up pretty quickly, whereas walking, you do eventually warm up, but it takes longer, which is, kind of a downside.
But even like standing around, sometimes we wait for people to, that are coming in a little bit late, and then the person who runs the thing has like just a few announcements or whatever like that. So we don't exactly start at 9 o'clock. It might be 10 after 9. But even like standing around, I wasn't like freezing cold, so that was good. But it was sunshine, so I think that made all the difference. Yeah. If it was cloudy and windy, it would have been like a whole different ballgame.
And we walked, you wouldn't believe this if you're familiar with Illinois, because it tends to be pretty flat, but this was actually kind of hilly, and we started out kind of going downhill into sort of a ravine, and that was actually protected from the wind. It was a little windy, but that was fine. And by the time we completed the loop and we're going back up that same hill, it actually wasn't really windy at all. So, and plus we were warm by then.
Spectacular. Just
it was very
beautiful,
nice.
Beautiful.
We actually posted pictures of it on our Instagram.
So when you watch this, look at our previous post, and you'll see the pictures from today, because it was stunning.
Somebody didn't text me the picture that we took of the two of us. So it didn't make it. We have a very confusing situation with our joint Instagram. We mistakenly tied it to I'm still not sure how that happened. For some reason, I'm the only one who can log on.
Right, and even when I'm logging on with the same password,
the correct password,
it says it's not. You can't do it, and
it says that the password is wrong.
Yeah,
but I'm using the same one.
And I can switch between. I've managed other people's Instagrams. I can toggle back and forth, no problem. And with ours, I cannot.
And then there was a point where I could do it on my phone, which I can still do, but I couldn't do it on my laptop. Now I can do it on my laptop and my phone, but you still can't.
Cannot. Yeah.
It's a great mystery.
It is a great mystery.
I think that maybe Mark Zuckerberg is not it's Meta, but he's not really the one who runs Instagram.
Yeah, it's a whole racket.
Isn't there somebody else who
Adam something is the CEO.
He needs to get his act together.
He does,
what it is.
Basically.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about them.
Yeah, stop changing it up all the time. That's what I got a problem with.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is generally true for all technology. Just stop.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
I don't need to relearn something.
Yeah, and you don't need to try to figure out what you think I want to do, because you're wrong. I don't want to do that thing.
Well, during the week, we had asked on our joint Instagram, ask us a question. So we do want to respond to one of the questions that was asked by Gail. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Gail.
And she had asked, is Dave on Weight Watchers? Because he looks like he's svelte and lost weight.
I don't think svelte. She did not say svelte, by the way. And I
She
don't
asked
think
if you had lost weight and were you on Weight Watchers?
I am not. Which nothing wrong with
Correct.
that. I feel like I get the benefit of it because you're involved.
Yes.
But thank you for asking that question. And actually, I'm going to say that yes, I did.
Yes.
If you need to know, for those inquiring minds.
Yes.
Through just developing some better habits, which is, and we've talked about it before, because we've really always been pretty active as
Yes.
long as we've known each other, running and doing all this stuff. But, it kind of, in the past, it's always been like it comes and goes. Like for me, I do a lot of running, then I'd injure my knee or something like that. And then I'd end up, laying off for a period of time after getting hurt. And so it was always this kind of back and forth thing. But we actually did kind of, and we've talked about it before, so I won't belabor the point, but we actually got to the point where we just developed a real regular routine and stuck with it. And what I think, for me is like making it kind of easy, like not overdoing it all the time so you avoid getting injured.
Yes.
And also you don't just burn out. And so we've stuck with it. And, probably cutting back on the adult beverages helps.
That's true.
But, we probably eat a little bit better too. But I think all that stuff kind of goes hand in hand. But thanks for even, noticing.
Yeah, that's very nice.
It is
And
nice.
I think that is the key is we've been consistent for a really long time. And we've also said it before, I think having the routine of walking before work is very helpful, even though in the beginning it was hard, especially for me. You used to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and run back
4:45.
4:45 to run in the day before our kids had to get up for school and all that stuff, and I'd be like, I would sleep till the last second. And I always considered myself not a morning person. Like I could never get up and like do any type of exercise before work. That was just a narrative I told myself, which is wrong. It's false.
It's wrong. It's false.
And yes, there's days where I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But once you get going, then it just helps a little bit. And then once you get outside, it's fine. But having each other and as accountability partners, I think has helped.
Oh, yeah.
And then that part is done. And then no matter what happens during the day, that part is done. So a lot of times people think, well, I'll work out when I get home from work. That's just like, even harder, I think, because you already worked all day, you're even more tired, and then you don't feel like it, and you're like, I'm not going to do that.
But we do that also.
We do.
3 times a week, usually. I mean, it can vary depending on what we have.
We're pumping iron.
We're pumping iron. We're pumping iron. And I also think weightlifting does help you at least look a little thinner because you kind of shape yourself a little bit. It doesn't necessarily mean you lose a whole lot of weight, but you do tend to.
Your body can still change.
You do look a little bit different if you're lifting weights. I'm not even interested in bulking up or anything like that.
That's our next thing. We're going to be doing
we're going to be. I have a friend from actually I've known him since elementary school. I've known him forever. But he, and he wasn't a small person when I knew him in those days. But he got into bodybuilding as an adult. And so we kind of like reconnected through Facebook, and he's a big dude now, like a big dude, which is funny. He's a very nice, normal
awesome.
guy, but it is funny. It's just, it's not funny. It's just like, that's not how I picture him, because you always still picture people the way you knew them way back when.
For sure.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're like this big dude now, which is cool. Nothing wrong with that.
But I think a lot of times the biggest benefit for being consistent in any activity is what happens on the inside of your body, not the outside. And like one of the tests, it could be like get your blood work done, and then get it done 6 months later and a year later, just to like see what the improvement is. Because even though you feel like, oh, it's taking so long, or I wish I was doing this, right, things are happening inside your body and things are improving. And
your one and only body.
And your one and only vessel.
It's a line.
Yeah, what is it?
It's from Steve Martin. Not Steve Martin. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on it's Fernwood Tonight. Martin Mull.
Oh, Martin Mull.
A Martin Mull film called Serial, which it came out in the early 1980s or maybe the late 70s. But it's very funny because it's based on a book which was originally actually a series of columns in the major newspaper in San Francisco, and it's about a life in the year of this couple living in Marin County, which is just north of San Francisco. Very trendy, very hip, especially back in the day. And Martin Mull plays this guy who goes through a divorce. He's married to Tuesday Weld, as a matter of fact.
There you go.
And they get a divorce. And he's kind of like, he's lost. He doesn't know what to do. And there's one point where he's in this like kind of grocery store. It's like a health food grocery store. Anyway, whatever. The woman behind the counter, as he's ringing up his groceries, she doesn't approve of something that he bought. So she looks at him and she says, "You're not going to put this in your one and only body." And Martin Mull says, "No, I have a spare." So that was my friends and I all watched that movie a million. Tommy
so
Smothers
funny.
is in it.
Okay, I have to see that because I haven't seen it.
Tommy Smothers plays this really trippy, like new agey kind of priest who marries. And Sally Kellerman is in it.
Oh,
who was
that's
in
good.
every movie
Yeah.
back in those days. Yeah, it's very funny.
You're not going to put this in your one and only body.
Yeah, but the reason why, the thing that was the timing was just perfect because one of my sisters and her husband had just moved to the San Francisco area and they were living in Marin County. They actually read the serialized, that's why it's called Serial. The book was called The Serial, I think. But they read the serialized columns in the newspaper when it was just first being published, and then this movie comes out. And one of the funny things about it is, both from the Chicago area, very grounded people, and when they loved living out there, by the way. But when they had their first child, they thought, yeah, maybe we better move back to the Midwest.
Right.
So they sold their house in California and moved back to the Chicago area. But it just was, the timing of that movie coming out was perfect because it was like real life experiences for people in my family. Except they didn't get divorced, I should point out.
Yes.
Unlike Martin Mull and Tuesday Weld. And they had a dog named Elton John.
Oh, there you go.
And Martin Mull had to eat granola for breakfast and he didn't like it, so he tried to get the dog to eat it.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's on some platform.
I remember details of Serial better than I remember movies that we've seen in our life in recent years.
Exactly.
I don't know why.
So that was that we just wanted to answer that comment. So thank you, Gail. We appreciate it.
We did have one other question.
Yeah, I have a question. How dare you? No.
In fact, I have a lot of. It's like when he's talking to Toby in his exit interview.
Yes.
What gives you the right? But our favorite critic,
Yes.
who sometimes leaves critical comments on our Instagram page, which by the way is totally fine. Like
Welcome.
I don't
welcome it.
Yeah, I don't care if people. I mean, I care in the sense that I respect people who disagree, but I'm not offended by the fact.
Not at all.
But they did leave a comment that said, "Do the two of you even listen to yourselves?" And there was some more critique. Go ahead and read the comment. I'm not going to try to paraphrase it, but I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, we do actually listen to ourselves. We do. And I have to say that while I did point out that there was some factual inaccuracy in an earlier comment by this person, they say that we're very hateful because we disagreed with them. Disagreement isn't being hateful. It's just disagreement. And the factual error that I pointed out was I was right. You were wrong. And on the facts, you're entitled to your beliefs, but none of us are entitled to our own facts. The facts are the facts. So.
Right, and everyone's going to have a different opinion about something, and especially politics is heated, and you're going to have fisticuffs. I don't think they wanted to get in a fist fight.
That's good.
Fisticuffs, but it's totally welcome. You are welcome to disagree with what we think. That is not a problem, but we appreciate the comment anyway.
But I will say this: I totally agree. It's fine for people to disagree, but I don't back down.
And that's the thing. It's like just because somebody says that doesn't mean you have to stop what you're doing and change your beliefs and your values because somebody else disagrees with you. Stay true to yourself, and that's what we're doing.
And and the thing is like just like pardon me, just like I'm never going to tell this person or anybody else don't post comments or whatever. We don't we didn't block them. We're not going
We're
to
not
delete.
deleting them.
We're not deleting the comments. That's fine. But don't I'm half Irish and all lawyer, as I like to say. I don't back down to anybody for anything, and that's okay. People, if you have strong beliefs, you shouldn't back down either.
Right.
But we're not going to see eye to eye on a lot of things. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. You'll not change your mind.
I forgot my
okay.
giant jug of water.
And I have my inspirational cup
in
again.
my University of Illinois water bottle. You do have. I don't have any inspiration. Well, this is the black eye is inspiration enough.
Right.
People.
I can get you stickers.
I am not going to. That would be sacrilegious on my.
These are waterproof stickers, and you can actually put them in the dishwasher.
Right, but this is a sacred object.
Exactly, and you can't bedazzle it at all.
That's right. That's exactly right. So since we didn't get a whole lot of questions, we don't necessarily have a lot of questions to answer, but we can make it like you said. I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you? But anyway, we can ask. It'll be like ask me anything, but I'll ask you a question and
okay.
you ask. What gives you the right? Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are?
I don't have a good question for you. I'm sorry.
But we did think that we could spend some time as a kind of reintroduction
Yes.
of who we are.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? Because it's been a while since we've done that. I mean, we did it at the beginning, but now we're at episode 75. And if you don't know a lot about us or what we do or things like that, we thought we would spend some time.
We're axe murderers.
No.
That you know of.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say, first of all, we are, it's March 2nd. Wait, today's March 1st.
Today's March 1st.
Today's March 1st.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I know. This year's gone by fast so far, but March 11th is our 30th wedding anniversary.
It is.
So that's coming up, which is exciting. We mentioned before, we're leaving on vacation a week from today. We'll be sitting in paradise, having drinks on the beach.
We will not be having cheeseburgers in paradise, though.
We'll not be having...
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
I know.
we
I was
will.
just saying we could have a cheeseburger.
Yeah. One thing you should know about me is that I'm a non-cheeseburger person.
And I am a cheeseburger.
I like cheese in some circumstances on a burger.
I am a...
but not as a general
I'm a burger and
rule.
cheese, no ketchup or mustard or lettuce or onion, no accompaniments. It's just plain. And I like to dip my burger in ketchup, so I don't want it on there.
That's more than you ever thought you'd know about it. But I interrupted you again. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. But that's a big thing coming up because 30 years, that's a big deal. And it's funny because both of our parents were married for a very long time.
Yeah.
I want to say that my mom and dad were married for 37 years when my dad passed away. Your parents were married over 50?
They were married? No, because my dad died in 1991.
Oh, right.
They were married in 1947. And then my dad passed away in 1941.
But obviously married for a very long time.
Well, I think if I'm doing the math correctly, that's 44 years.
Yeah, a lot. Sorry, I got an itch in my eye. I'm not crying.
You are crying. You have to. You'll have to go if you're listening to the audio. Go check out the video to see for yourself whether or not
Jen's
Jennifer's crying.
Right. But I kind of think that is helped us in our marriage of just having a good example of people who have stayed together for decades and decades and things like that. And
I thought it was because I had a failed marriage before.
Just a brief.
I thought that's what helped us.
That could have helped too. But I kind of think that helps to have an example of going through life thick and thin, with the same person. It is a journey, kind of thing. But it's an awesome journey because you do have somebody who, you get to do life with, and through all the things that happen, we've lost, you've lost both your parents. I lost my dad. We've lost family members. We had a miscarriage in the beginning after our first daughter was born. So that was terrible, and then just going through all those things. But, we've also done a lot of things together. We do a lot of things together, but that's also good because we have the same interests and we get to do stuff with each other. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and I do think that's right. And the other thing is that I think that, people have very kind of like strict ideas about, well, that didn't come out the right way, but people have very preconceived ideas about what a relationship is supposed to be like and look like. And I just don't think, I don't necessarily think that you can kind of like superimpose your own ideas on someone else's relationship. Like our walking group is this will come up sometimes in conversation. Most of the people in the walking group are married or they have long-term boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, but they're not with their boyfriend
Correct.
or girlfriend or spouse. And we walk together, and there is a guy he's a very nice guy, and he doesn't mean any
Right.
malice or anything like that, but he gives us a hard time sometimes
Right.
about it. And he's married for a very long time, and his wife does other things.
Chooses not to walk.
Right, but
I
sometimes
choose not to walk.
yes, sometimes I think it could come across like one of us is kind of like, forcing the other person to do something, or one is maybe being like possessive and like, well, I don't want you to do things on your own. And I don't think for us that's it at all. I think it's just that we found certain things that we like to do. I do think it's cool that a lot of our friends, do have kind of like separate interests and do their own thing. And I think that's great. But like you were talking about before about what it comes to exercising, and this is exercise, even though we enjoy
Yes.
hanging out with these folks. When it comes to exercise, we both find that it is really good to have another person to kind of be responsible to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I do think it helps kind of keep you honest.
For sure.
So
Because I could just say right now, I never would have kept it up.
well,
I would have done it for like a spurt and then taken a break, and then done it for a spurt and then taken a break. So for that thing, it just kind of like that's our routine now, and that's what we do. So that's worked for us. Also, you have made some good suggestions in our marriage of things that I would never have done.
have I?
Run a marathon.
Oh, well,
I never would have done that without you suggesting.
But
it.
I only did that because people in my family did, and I get competitive, and then I feel like, well, if they can do it.
Right. So you ran a marathon before I did, or two? Was it two before?
I did it in the Chicago Marathon in 2001, 2002, back to back, and then 05 and 06 back
right.
to back. And
So,
then I did one on my 60th birthday down in Champaign.
Yes, and I did a half marathon on your 60th birthday.
That is a true story.
So yeah, it was, so that I never would have done, playing guitar lessons. I wouldn't have done that without your suggestion too. So it is fun to, have somebody who wants to try new things. And yes, the walking club was my idea.
The walking club was your idea, and were the tattoos your idea?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't have matching tattoos.
We don't.
Yeah. But we do.
Oh.
We did get. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
I'm gonna start right that down.
Yeah. But we did get tattoos together.
And we're not gonna get tattoos on our vacation.
We're not going to get tattoos on our vacation because thankfully we don't drink as much.
Yeah.
Not that we ever really drank that much.
No, but I was
it
just
is
kind of a little bit more than we needed to.
Yeah. Well, arguably it's all more than you need to.
Well, and obviously during COVID, we were all staying home, so that was something to fill the time.
But we did. What we should have done is started making like craft cocktails, and then we could. Then people think, oh, that's just a hobby.
Right.
That's just a skill.
Or what if we're craft mocktailers?
That's becoming a thing.
It is
though.
becoming a thing.
Yeah, that's really becoming a thing. I won't name names, but someone I followed for many years on different social media platforms stopped drinking a few years ago, and he'll post about this frequently about these. There's also apparently, although I haven't tried any of these, there are some very good non-alcoholic, beer and stout and stuff like that. So it is kind of cool to see that that's taking off. I don't think there's any real harm in having a drink or two here and there, and we're like, like a beer on a Friday night. We're
right.
very low key about it. But I also think it's great that, part of offering the non-alcoholic drinks and having non-alcoholic beer and stuff like that is that it makes not drinking more of like a normal thing, because you could go to a bar with your friends, or you could go to a party and
exactly,
and And if you don't need that, cool, that's great. But I think it's nice to sort of like normalize the idea of, hey, some people just don't drink, and some people used to and don't anymore. Someone once told me that he'd had his full allotment of beer in life. And this is not the person I follow on social media. This was actually a member of my family once said to me, I've had all the beer that I'm allowed in this lifetime, so I'm done.
Yeah.
And he stuck to his guns, and that was that. But I think it's cool to accommodate people.
I do too.
Because some people just choose not to. It's not even a thing about having an addiction problem or anything like that. It's just like it's not part of. They're not interested. They never have been interested. They're not going to do it, and that's cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
And even having like non-alcoholic bars, like a whole bar that's non-alcoholic. Right. There's some in Chicago now. Is also nice too, because then you definitely, you can go and have a great time. And
what was the juice bar back in the day? Medusa's in Chicago.
Yeah, went there, danced my butt off in the day.
With other boys. I was not one of them.
But yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, they did not sell alcohol. That's why you could get on. I believe I was there under the age of 21.
Well, and I do know that some people would go to Medusa's after hitting the bars. But that's actually also a good thing, because then they spend a couple hours hanging out, dancing or whatever.
Exactly.
Not getting behind the wheel of a car till they've kind of sobered up a little bit. So I knew people who did that on occasion. I never went to Medusa's.
It's no longer there.
Yeah, I know. all those places are long gone.
Yeah, long gone. Limelight.
Neo. Even the Belden Deli is gone, which is sad. That was the post Neo place back in the day when Neo was kind of a punk club.
I was not aware of that place.
Oh yeah, we used to go there all the time, and then go to the Belden Deli and drink coffee and have big sandwiches and then go home.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's a good time. Okay, so we still didn't ask questions or talk about ourselves. So we did a little bit. We did a little bit. We talked obviously about our marriage. That's first and foremost, since that's there and everything. So I'll just start with myself. Well, I will also start just to say,
my name is Jennifer.
Yeah, hi. My name is Jen. I will say one other snippet about when Dave and I, before we met, we grew up 1.5 miles from each other our whole lives.
That's true.
And never met. We could have. We could have been in the same grocery store. We could have passed each other. We could have gone to the Lake Street Theater at the same time.
The Lake Street Theater? Or the Lamar.
Or the Lamar.
Which became the Sri Lamar. And then they started showing Bollywood pictures.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
I forgot about that place.
The Sri Lamar.
But yeah, so we grew up in the same town. Well, one town over, but really just like on the border. I was literally
River Forest is a suburb of Oak Park.
Pretty much.
No.
But that's kind of interesting to, and we did not meet online. We met at a bar.
Well, there really wasn't much online to speak of in 1993.
Yeah, I don't think there was any.
Well, there was an internet, but it wasn't like a commercial thing. Because the internet began long before it became a commercial thing.
Right.
It was, the military and universities
like
and
where
stuff.
You could look stuff up for information.
Correct.
And stuff like that.
There was no online dating. Unless the military people were doing it and we didn't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting thing about us. And we actually, once we did meet, we had friends in common.
We did.
So that was also fun to...
In fact, one of the people in our wedding party was a friend of mine from high school who later became a friend of yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was the one who was the instigator, she was the reason why we met, because it was the day before Thanksgiving and I was not going to go out. I was working all day, yada, yada, yada. I went to Blockbuster. I got some movies. I got a frozen pizza. It was a Jen night in. And my friend Shannon called me and said, we're all going out. And I literally was like on the fence, although to be honest, it doesn't take me too long to change my mind. But I was just like, okay, fine, I'm doing it. So if it wasn't for her, then
we would not have crossed paths.
At
least not that time, that moment. But.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that also helped for getting to know somebody when you have the same almost like the same upbringing, pretty much. I mean, except for you have a million siblings. I only had two.
Yeah.
That's not the same at all.
That's a little bit different.
But we went to the same high school, so that was in common.
We didn't really listen to the same kind of music, though.
No.
That was a little bit different.
Well, did you like Madonna at all, even then? I did, you too.
Well, we did both like you too.
Yeah.
I the thing about Madonna was I was never a fan specifically, but I always kind of respected the fact that she was kind of in control of her own career.
Yes.
At least that was my sense, and kind of called the shots a little bit. And a lot of artists, especially popular artists, don't really have the ability to do that. And a lot of women, the record companies don't really let them do that, or didn't back then. So I was always impressed.
She changed her thing all the time.
Yeah.
She came out with something new or changed her look or
Right.
everything like that. I was definitely pop. Madonna.
There's nothing wrong with pop. The Beatles were pop.
That's true. And then the funny thing is, though, I think it's hilarious that I can listen to a radio station now on my way home from work, and it's playing the same music that I listened to in high school, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like, how is this still happening?
we used to joke about, quote unquote, classic rock. This would be back in the 90s. We talk about how the Ramones were classic rock, as being sarcastic about the terminology. Now, of course, that's not, that would be the case.
For sure.
But speaking of which, I have to mention that's very sad that David Johansen died.
Yeah.
David Johansen, otherwise also known as Buster Poindexter, he kind of created this whole persona of the, not really like a lounge singer, but
yeah.
But he was originally the lead singer of the New York Dolls. Fascinating kind of pre-punk group. I heard an interview with him. I think it was him. It could have been someone else in the band, but I think it was David Johansen. Terry Gross on Fresh Air interviewed him, I should say. And he talked about, because we've talked about in the past, we've talked about how, people crossing over gender lines is actually a really common thing in pop culture. It's going on forever. It's not brand new. The New York Dolls, I don't know if that's why they used that name, but they did. They were all men and they wore women's clothes very consciously. And what I thought was great was he explained it in the interview. It wasn't that they necessarily set out to do that specific thing, but it's a common thing for bands to have like a look and wear similar kinds of clothes or whatever. But they were poor. They had no money. So the only way they could really come up with a look that was unique and that would identify them as a band was to borrow clothes from their women friends and dress as women. And but they did, like in the early days, they did makeup and everything. They didn't always go to that extent. But, it wasn't a political statement. They were not transgender people or anything like that. But they also didn't think there was any big deal about it. It was like, hey, this is a look. It's kind of cool.
And nobody gave them grief for that.
And that's why, years later, when a band like Twisted Sister came along, people didn't really bat an eye. Alice Cooper called himself Alice Cooper, David Bowie used to wear, androgynous clothes, but certainly he would wear dresses skirts and stuff like that. There's a whole long tradition of this. And it's just kind of funny that people are freaking out today in 2025 when in 1975 or whenever the New York Dolls started out, it's like, hey, we can't afford to get like matching outfits or anything like that. But our friends can lend us their clothes so we can perform in drag.
Right.
And then, that'll be our look. And people, the audience was like, hey, that's kind of cool. Nobody cared, man.
Yeah, nobody cared.
But anyway, it's very sad that he passed away. He had cancer.
I just saw a few weeks ago that somebody close to them was doing like a GoFundMe because his expenses for being sick were astronomical, and so they were asking for help. And at that point, I didn't obviously know that he was so close to the end of his life, but it's unfortunate that he passed away. And
like a lot of times when a particular artist is going through a hard time like that, it's wild to see all these other artists, talk about like Steve Van Zandt on Instagram. I just was scrolling through on my laptop, and Steve Van Zandt posted about him. Michael Stipe from REM was a big fan. Patti Smith, just all the old timers. Now, it's sad to refer to them as old timers, but they are now. Garland Jeffries, our friend, knew him back in the day. Everyone connected to New York either closely or from a distance. Michael Imperioli posted a tribute to him on his Instagram. So you're kind of an artist when there's that outpouring. Similar thing with Jesse Malin, who fortunately is okay. He's alive, but he's recovering from a very bad stroke.
Yes.
And I particularly love the way, like, New York artists, not Michael Stipe isn't from New York, but New York artists stick together, back each other up, support each other. One of our cats is rolling something down the hallway.
Like a penny or something.
Yeah. So
if you hear that, that's our cat.
Yeah, that was a little distraction. But what do you
It's always something.
It's always something.
Right before we started recording, our cat Gordy, who is sometimes just a little needy.
I bet you anything it's the other one.
Yeah.
Waffle.
Was crying, because she wanted to get our attention and everything, and I set up a spot for her on the couch. Usually what I do is, if she's fussy and doesn't know what to do, I will take my phone and put on YouTube, there's videos for cats. It's like an 8-hour stream, and it is like chipmunks and squirrels and all this stuff, and I could just put it there, and then she calms down, and we just call her an iPad cat.
She's an iPad cat.
She's an iPad baby. It works.
Well, I was hoping to be able to pick her up and bring her in, but I'm not sure what this is. But this little black plastic thing is what she was rolling around in the hall. At first I thought it was a Lego, but it doesn't.
Oh, you know what that is? That's the other side of my eyeliner. It was the bottom part, and it fell off, and I didn't know what happened to it. So there you go.
So that's why you have cats, because they find your missing items.
That is true. And that's another thing. Speaking of music, I probably would not have gone to a Bruce Springsteen concert had it not been for you. So I appreciate that I got to do that, because that was amazing.
That's funny, because we got together with some friends last weekend, and one of my high school friends, who was also my college roommate, like freshman year, we didn't live together the whole time through. But he reminded me, and I had forgotten, because I always think of him as a big Springsteen fan. He said that, and I guess, as I remembered, I think this is true, that I kind of dragged him along to the Springsteen concert at the University of Illinois in 1981, like February of 81. And I think what had happened, if I remember correctly, what had happened was they would have like the student lottery for tickets. And you could buy individual tickets, or you could buy like one or two, but I think you could buy a maximum of like 10 tickets or 8 tickets or something like that. And so a lot of times kids would do that so that, if their friends didn't get a good lottery number or whatever, they could bring people in. And somehow or another, a group of us were going, and there was we had like an odd number in the group. I don't even recall who all was going, but there was one left, and I'm like, Andy, you gotta go. You have to see Bruce Springsteen. I had never seen him at this point, but like, one of my sisters had gone to see him at like
And it's not like he was unknown.
Right.
I mean, it's not, him.
And his concerts were already legendary. So I dragged him along, and he turned out he's now a Bruce Springsteen fan. But I had forgotten all about that part of the story, and because we had seen Bruce in Ireland a couple times over the last couple of years. We were talking about that. Our friend happens to be going to Ireland, and so one thing kind of led to another, and he reminded me of this, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's right. I guess I'm known for dragging people to Bruce Springsteen concerts.
Yeah, and that's all right. And I was just gonna say, that's another thing that we do have in common, is we have friends that we've had for our whole lives.
Yeah.
And I specifically have a friend from 3rd grade, who I still talk to this day. And she does more of the talking than I do.
But that's okay.
That's okay. I love to hear everything that's going on. But even like last week when we mentioned we went out with some of Dave's friends, one was somebody that you went to fourth grade with.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
And
That's right.
who had been in fourth grade, moved away, and then came back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was interesting is one of your friends' spouses that was there also went to the same high school as we do, was asking your friend Howard like specific teachers and classes that she took, and I was
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I barely remember anything
Yeah.
from high school except like the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But like in, some teachers and stuff like that for the majority of it. But she was so specific about so many different things, and I was like, that's wild.
I do remember.
You remember a lot.
Few. Well, because some of the teachers were really remarkable. Mr. Weiberg, I had for like world history. I think it was as a freshman. I remember we had this incredible biology teacher, although I still to this day don't know how to pronounce his last name because he never corrected people. We always knew him. In my family, we always called him Mr. Triner, but other kids would call him Mr. Trinner, and he never corrected them. So I don't know which one is correct.
I always thought it was Triner.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I didn't have him for freshman biology, but I had him for AP biology, and he was the most enthusiastic teacher I've ever had. He was like a former Marine, and he still kind of had the buzz cut from his military days. But he was like, he would like act things out. He'd stand up on a chair. He was so animated. Everybody loved him, and he was just a very good teacher. So I remember some of those people. We were really lucky.
Yeah, and I love teachers like that who, after teaching for a really long time, it's like they've been teaching it for the first time, and they're just like still that excited about it. So that's when you know you've got a good teacher.
We had a history teacher who was great. I had him for AP American History, and one of my sisters had him years before. Mr. Dave Diedrich.
I had Mr. Diedrich.
He was great, but he had these suits from Sears, where it was like you got a suit jacket, got two different pairs of pants, and a vest that was reversible.
Like Granimals.
So right, you got like 5 outfits out of this suit. It was great. But he was really cool, and his summer
it's different
gig,
clothes. I've got the vest turned inside out.
Yeah. But he was fantastic, and he as a summer gig he did guided tours of the city, like in the big bus would drive around, and he would do because he was super knowledgeable about Chicago history, and he took us in our AP American History class. He took us on his tour, and he did the whole thing, and it was fantastic. He had a story about when Steve Garvey was playing for, I want to say at that point he was playing for the Dodgers, not the hated San Diego Padres. He is, of course, as we know, history's greatest monster because he destroyed the Chicago Cubs in the 1984 National League playoffs. But he had a story, my former teacher had a story about doing the guided tour, and I want to say it was when Steve Garvey was playing for the Dodgers, and he was on that bus tour, and apparently was a little rude.
Oh.
Not rude like mean-spirited, like rude like his sense of humor was a little, shall we say, off-color.
I was going to say off-color.
But he is, of course, history's greatest monster. I will never, ever forget the 1984 National League playoffs. On my deathbed, I will remind everyone in attendance that Steve Garvey is history's greatest monster.
But yeah, I think that is just a testament of like our upbringing, being close together and having similar things that has helped us.
But we were both Cub fans.
Yes.
Neither one of us had to persuade the other to be a Cub fan.
That is 100% correct. Or a Blackhawks fan.
That's true.
So big Blackhawks fans. Yes. So that is a true story.
I don't know that I'm glad that they don't make the playoffs anymore. We went through a stretch of staying up very, very late at night.
So exciting.
Watching Blackhawks playoff games in the day.
So, double overtime. Yeah. We're staying up.
Was the one against the Bruins, that was, of course, in the Stanley Cup final, but was that a triple overtime game or something like that?
I do not remember.
The one where they scored like 2 goals in 17 seconds to win? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We've almost talked almost 50 minutes. So
Yeah.
that time has gone by fast. But we appreciate you listening to us. And if you do have any other questions that you wanted to ask us and you didn't get a chance to, just let us know. And if you don't want to leave a message publicly, you can always do it on our Instagram and leave us a direct message.
And you can always leave critical comments. We won't be mad.
We won't.
And we're not haters.
Exactly.
That you know.
But thanks for listening tonight, and we will see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.